8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes, we are live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to an exclusive next level webinar, NFT Secrets with Albert Polanco. I'm your host, Adam Carswell, and joined today by my amazing co-hosts, Nadir Price and John Okocha. As I mentioned just there, we're entering the mind of Albert Polanco of NFT Farms, or niftyfarm.com. With great level next level backstory on this one today. But before we dive in, just want to warm it up a little bit here. Nadir, John, Albert, we'll go in that order. How you feeling today, and what are you looking forward to?
Adam, I'm feeling pretty great. I'm looking forward to learn as much from Albert about the NFTs and what the market. Well, damn. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to learn what NFTs and what the blockchain network has to offer to young artists like myself, I guess, independent artists, So pretty much,
Happy to have you here too, Nadir. John, what are you looking forward to today?
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to learning. I think being a student is very, very important, and I'm looking forward to learning more about the NFT space and what I can do in that space and where I can add value in that space.
Absolutely, and the great teacher of the day, Dr. Polanco. What are some things you're anticipating and looking forward to in today's presentation?
Hey man, thanks for just even creating the space for this. But yeah, what I'm looking forward to is, honestly, as much as I've dove into this space, the questions that people have, right? I learn from the questions because, if you can be able to explain something to somebody, like when you can teach something, that's when you truly understand it. So just hearing how other people see this and the questions that they ask helps me. So that's really kind of one of the things I'm looking forward to getting from this.
Definitely. And I'm over here multitasking, but Albert, as I'm gonna continue to ramble on for a little bit here, on Facebook, I just DM'd you the link to our live stream on there. So if you can quickly share it to your group, you might be able to pull it off.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do.
But yeah, as I mentioned, we're live on Facebook. So hi to everyone there watching us. If you want to join us here in the Zoom room, Aaron, our amazing apprentice, will go ahead and put the link there in the Facebook chat, or Rena, who I believe is joining us now as well. Here we go. So today's webinar is sponsored by Liberty Real Estate Fund. That's the world's first single tenant net lease security token. For more information on Liberty Fund, you can visit libertyfund.io. And we are also sponsored by Raise Masters, the #1 mastermind for elite capital raisers. To learn more about Raise Masters, you can apply via the link that Aaron is also about to drop in there. It's also in the show notes as well. Another huge thank you to our production team, which is everyone you see here today. Drop Aaron's name a few times. As I mentioned, Rena, I know you're with us here on Facebook, kind of monitoring the comments and everything. So many things that we would not be able to do without the team here today. So just big thank you to everyone. And again, if you're with us here live, hello, and thank you for investing your most valuable resource with us, your time. Let's get that chat box warmed up. Go ahead and punch in your name, who you are, where you're tuned in from, all that good stuff. And as I mentioned, if you're on Facebook, you can go ahead and click that link in there and then come join us here in the Zoom room. And if you're watching us on the replay, we kindly ask that you please drop a little like there, click the subscribe button. It just really helps with the overall performance and presentation of future next level webinars. And last but not least, if you're listening on the Dream Chasers platform, go ahead and drop us a little 5-star rating there as well. And go ahead and follow a link to the video replay. All right. So you guys are going to get a ton of value today. If you haven't kind of picked up on that already, I know me and our co-hosts got like a bunch of questions for Albert already. So we might be fighting for some time during the Q&A, but get those notepads ready, exit out of any other applications or anything else you might have open. Really give us as much focus as you can. You're going to get a lot out of it. And now I'll go ahead and tell the backstory, which again, I don't really know where to begin, but I do want to highlight our co-host here real quick too. I mean, I've known John Okocha for probably at least like 2 years now. He went through the Cash Flow Connections mentorship program. I said with him before the call, I'm like, this guy's definitely one of our like top 20 students. He's just taken everything he's learned from Hunter. And, I happened to be there and really applied it. crushing it all cylinders, doing his own thing in commercial real estate investing. Very smart guy. So that's John. And then Nadir, for those of you who don't know, I moved to Belize in 2013. Didn't know anyone, came back knowing a lot of people, and Nadir definitely, top 3 connections I've made my whole life. Dude has changed so many things for me. Best friend of mine for sure. And yes, Nadir, I got to say it. I'm going to say it. he'll never say this, guys, because he's so stinking humble. But his grand uncle was the first ever prime minister of Belize. So that's pretty cool. We got some royalty on here. And then lastly, we'll get to the main presenter here, Albert Polanco. Albert was creating how-to videos on all things NFT related on YouTube. And I just stumbled across his YouTube channel. Like, man, it's crazy. It's probably only like 3 months ago at the most. Honestly, that's my big exaggeration, but we've just gotten to know each other so well since then. And Albert's really taught me a lot about NFTs ever since I started researching them. And he's just the guy you'll see today. We're going to get his information out there. You guys can follow up with him for resources. But Albert is a very innovative, smart, entrepreneurial minded individual. And you guys will see that today. So thank you for listening to me again spiel for like 5 minutes there, everyone. I know, I'm sure that was entertaining. Gonna hand it over to Albert just real quick again. Did I miss anything there on the backstory? I'm sure you got some comments before you get started as well.
No, man, I think you hit everything on the head. It's funny how we got introduced is, you reached out to me from seeing a YouTube video, but then I was sold on you as a person and what you were doing by watching your Newfoundland video that you had on your website. So I was like, man, I got to know this guy. This guy looks like he's just somebody I want to get to know, so it's been cool since then. I've learned a lot from you as well.
Appreciate it. And yeah, guys, I mean, we'll probably get to this eventually too, but Albert's very active on Clubhouse. So if you use Clubhouse at all, let's go ahead and get, what's your username on Clubhouse again, Albert?
So my username is Cryptovert on Clubhouse.
Cryptovert, that's right.
Yeah, and that's also my YouTube channel as well.
There it is, guys, Cryptovert. And that's another place where if anyone knows the nature of Clubhouse, I mean, you can get on there and spend hours. I actually had John on Dream Chasers, my show, my podcast, to talk about how to become the best you can be on Clubhouse. And he definitely taught me and many others how to do that. So good vibes all around. I think it's time. I think it's time we go ahead and dig into the presentation here. Again, if you're with us on Facebook, go ahead and drop, a hashtag next level, or if you're watching the replay, drop a hashtag replay. Getting the comments and the likes going really help drive traffic and get more people in here. And then again, feel free to come over here in the Zoom room and join us. You'll at least get to catch all the information at least 10 to 15 seconds before everyone else, because that seems to be the delay. So, all right, Albert's going to present now. And then after that, we're going to do about 15 minutes of Q&A. So Dr. Polanco, the microphone is yours.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share a presentation. I have some slides, just some visuals to kind of help aid the conversation. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen really quick. Can you guys see this?
Yes, sir. It's game time.
So it's loading here. All right. I'm trying to move you guys off the screen. So you can see this correctly?
Yep.
Okay.
It's coming
so
through.
Obviously we're here to talk about NFTs. What the heck is an NFT, right? So I wanted to get to the very basics of NFT. And so an NFT, what it stands for is non-fungible token. Okay. And non-fungible, all that means, a lot of people have problems with that word fungible. It just means it's unique, right? So like things like art, collectibles, in-game assets, even property that's unique, right? It can't be exchanged or replaced with an identical token. And it's also easy to prove authenticity of that item. And the opposite is fungible, right? So fungible means interchangeable or the same, like the dollar, a dime, each dollar, $1 bill is a $1 bill and you can exchange them. It doesn't matter if they're dirty or whatever. So that's kind of the basics of fungible and non-fungible. At a high level, what do they allow? Like, what does an NFT actually allow? What does it change? Why does it matter? And so for the first time, it allows for true digital ownership, right? Without a middleman or a trusted third party. And that's a big deal. So some of the use cases you can see here, some of the first use cases, you can think of it like digital trading cards. in-game assets. So you can own things that are in game, like in various games. When you buy things from a game, if the game goes away, you actually don't own that asset anymore. So this allows you to do that. Things like art, fashion, there's virtual worlds where you can own land in the form of NFTs. Event ticketing and access to events in the real world and the virtual world are use cases. Real world assets are being tokenized as NFTs right now, as you, Adam, know as well. Real estate shares can be tokenized, licenses, certificates. So there's so many different use cases for NFTs. But let's talk about how things work right now, right? How things work right now, the record of the rights that you have to something that you purchased or you own, that is owned by a small handful of people and for-profit institutions. And they act like the rulers of the kingdom, right? That's their place in this. And so you have these kings, you have these kingdoms, and you have what I call walled castles. And I got this from another, one of the innovators of NFTs, Roham, who started CryptoKitties and Dapper Labs and all that. So you can't take the things that you buy and own from one kingdom to another without permission, right? From these rulers. And they're almost always going to say no, right? These things have to and can only exist inside their walled castles, right? You think you own these things, but you are actually only renting them, like with a digital library card. I think iTunes, the movies you own, Audible books, Fortnite skins, your progress in your game, you don't actually own any of that stuff. You're just renting access to it. So what's the big deal with NFTs, right? They changed the rules of this game. They, like I said before, they allow for true digital ownership of digital items, and even physical items you can use. But they use blockchain, right, as a shared trustless version of the past and the present. And so what does that actually mean? And what the heck is a blockchain? So blockchain, the technology that underpins all of this, essentially it gives computers that don't know each other a trustless way to agree on a single version of the truth on a distributed digital ledger. In other words, in simpler terms, it's a spreadsheet that has millions or thousands of copies where there's a mechanism that allows that the computers can all talk to each other and know whether or not somebody's trying to cheat or change something on that spreadsheet. So it's a shared spreadsheet across across a network. Okay, the other part of this is it adds programmability and utility to NFTs. So what do I mean by that? Right? What does this mean? What does programmability mean? And what's possible? Right? Because I think that's how a lot of people understand, like, what's the possibilities? So one of the possibilities for the first time is secondary royalties for content creators, right? That are automatic, that are enforced by code, right? So as a creator, as an artist, as a musician or content creator, you can create content that the purchaser can then resell. However, when you have something that you sell to somebody, if they resell it, the creator never gets compensated. Well, now with NFTs, they can be programmed to do that. You can program to grant access to real life, access to events. Basically, it works like if this happens, then that, right? That's kind of how it works. It's like, if this is seen, then execute this thing, right? That kind of logic, and it's all computers. It's computer code, which they call smart contracts. Things you can program are also access and authentication. You can do something like trustless escrow, where there's no third party. It's coded into a smart contract. Eventually, I see things like wills and insurance being moved onto the blockchain and done with NFTs. Some of the more fringe stuff that I'm hearing about and seeing, which is pretty cool, is you can deposit other tokens into an NFT, right? You can deposit other cryptocurrency tokens and give these NFTs intrinsic value. There's interest-bearing NFTs. You can time lock them, and you can even there's some DeFi, decentralized application, or decentralized finance applications that allow for NFT-backed loans, where people can actually loan you money based on the collateral would be these NFTs, right? So that's just some of the things you can program into these things. But the next question that most people have that I get all the time is like, well, how is this digital item, how does it get its value? Like, what makes an NFT valuable? And so there's a couple of key concepts that I want to go over. And the first one is utility, right? So it serves a functional purpose. It can unlock access to things like in a game or real events or in the physical world. In the future, you could have a NFT that resides on a card that grants you access to a real estate property that you rent somewhere, right? So there's so many things there's so many ways to apply this and add additional utility. One of the big utilities is going to be generating revenue. So you can earn interest, or it can serve as collateral for loans. But again, the royalty aspect for creators, that's generating revenue, secondary sales. It can give additional non-monetary rewards, right? So if you hold this NFT, a content creator may be able to reward you with other things that are not monetary, but it gives you access to certain things, gives you additional NFTs by airdropping. That's one of the things that I use them for, is to reward my community. And then also you can redeem these NFTs for physical items. Some physical artists are selling NFTs, and they can actually be redeemed for physical paintings or physical items. And there's a couple of companies merging the physical with the digital as well right now. Another big part of what makes an NFT valuable is going to be tracking and authenticating the authenticity of something. So it proves the originality of a digital or even a physical item. So originality is baked into the blockchain upon creation in an immutable way. So that just means that when it's created, you can't change where it came from, right? You can see where it came from. It makes counterfeiting hard. It makes them easy to spot. You can detect counterfeits very easily. You can prove the authenticity of digital items and physical items. And then all of this stuff is verifiable on the blockchain. And you don't need a third party, right? So one of the things like in fine art, right? You have elaborate fakes where you need an expert to come in and check if this Monet painting is really a Monet painting, right? Blockchain and NFTs make elaborate fakes even easy to spot. So that's another valuable thing about NFTs. The next part that I want to talk about is ownership history, right? So there's a chain of custody from the origination to the present day, right? So physical art in the real world is like fine art, expensive art, is tracked by what's called provenance, right? And so all that means is they're tracking the history of who held the art first. So where was this art before it arrived here, and who had it before that? So that's kind of how they prove if a painting is real or not, by knowing where it was. So you can verify the history of ownership from the very beginning. So imagine, a scenario that I like to use as an example is, imagine if you could now prove that you owned Michael Jordan's first basketball, or you were able to own or prove that you had Walt Disney's first cartoon sketch. Like, could you see that as valuable? And I think that might be something that is unique to NFTs that some people are looking at, like who owned this NFT before you did. Another big thing that makes NFTs valuable is transferability, right? So it can easily be sold and resold to anyone in the world. So any rare or unique asset can be packaged as an NFT and easily sold or resold without a third party, right? So think about illiquid assets, things that are hard to resell. They become much more liquid and they're easier to transfer. You can move them around. Think of like antique things that you need to find other people who are interested in this specific thing. Well, now you're not limited to just the geographic area that you're in. There might be a huge antique market somewhere else in the world. And now you can package these things as NFTs, and there's a way to facilitate that kind of market. Another one is items that you had no way of selling before now become transferable with NFTs. So a good example is a game, right? So a video game that maybe you spend 5 years playing this video game. You invest so much time and effort getting all the things in this video game, and then you just don't want to play it anymore. Well, you could package that, in the future here, you can package that and sell that progress and those in-game items off as NFTs. Like that wasn't really possible before. And then another big one that I'm interested in right now is real estate backed assets. So they can be sold, they can be resold or collateralized for loans on a global market. And I know Adam knows a whole lot more about that. And then finally, one of the last things I wanted to talk about for what makes an NFT valuable is verifiable scarcity, right? So the transparency of the blockchain can prove the scarcity of a digital item. So that means because it's on a public distributed ledger, it's open to everyone. Everyone can go in and look. So you can know exactly how many items exist from that original verified source. So let's say, Louis Vuitton says that this item is super scarce and rare, and we're going to make this and verify it with an NFT. Well, you can know without a doubt that that is true, and they're telling the truth because you can see from that original source how many of that exact item exists. Okay. And so finally, I'll leave you with this. Like, why should you even care about NFTs? It's not just art. That's just the first introduction of what you're seeing and where all the hype is. But NFTs, smart contracts, and blockchain technology, I believe they're going to fundamentally change and transform our societies in similar ways that the internet changed us, the way the internet changed the world. And so, like, I pose this question to you guys is like, do you want to be a part of building that and the infrastructure behind that? Or do you want to sit on the sidelines and be a consumer and wish 5 years from now that you got involved in the early days, like it was when the internet was just a little baby? That's kind of why that's all I got for right now, and I'm ready for any questions you guys have. Thanks.
All right, that was, man, you crushed it. Short, sweet, to the point, loaded with info. Have you given that presentation before?
Nope.
Nice, that was good.
No.
And I like I'm just like sitting here looking at the color scheme, like, okay, we haven't, one of a kind. So thank you, Albert. I know I have a lot of questions, but I do want to just give, I guess, Nadir and John and our audience a chance to open up here and see what might be stirring in their minds and their brains. So yeah, before I go ahead and start asking questions, Nadir, John, and guys here in our audience, I see, oh wait, we do have some questions coming in here. Cool. Yeah, one from Scott. So let's just do it. Let's go straight into it. Scott Matthews wants to know, Albert, I mean, maybe you already answered this too, but how can one verify that that's actually Michael Jordan's basketball in the photo?
Okay, that's a good question. So there has to be some kind of method when you're inputting and creating that NFT, right? That's trusted, right? For something to move from the physical world into the digital world, there has to be some, like, his estate, right, is saying, hey, I'm auctioning off, or we're selling Michael Jordan's first basketball, and we're going to make it into this NFT, and this is the address. This is our address where we're making this from. And so that's kind of how you would verify that it was really from Michael Jordan. It would have to come from a trusted, verifiable source to move from that physical world into the digital world.
Nice. All right, we'll go in this order. Nadir, and then John. What do you got for the man? And audience, of course, go ahead and feel free to keep asking questions. Oh, you're on mute right now, Nadir.
Yeah.
There we go.
Well, I had the question that I have is based mostly on the physical world with the blockchain, but pretty much what are your thoughts on the environmental footprint of NFTs based on the energy consumption when it comes to mining on the blockchain? The reason I'm asking, because I think it was like 2 months ago, I read this article and it spoke about researchers from Cambridge. They found out that right now, just mining Bitcoin takes as much energy as Argentina or Sweden, which are huge countries. And honestly, I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because when it comes to like the environment and people trying to, all these environmentalists, I can't say all these environmentalists, but I think it's very politicized. And I was just wondering, what do you think about it when it comes to the footprint,
So thanks, Nadir. That's a good question. I'm glad you asked it, because there's a lot of misconceptions and misinformation around this subject. You have to also consider a lot of times where these articles are coming from and who's pushing them out there. What do they gain to lose from this technology gaining mainstream adoption? But it's a valid concern, right? I care about the planet. I care about the environment. I care about animals. I do that. That's not something that I don't care about.
I forgot to say, you have your own zoo.
Yeah, I have like 10 animals here. You know, most people who know me from Clubhouse, I have a picture of me tugging a dolphin. You know, it's not that I don't care about the environment, but a lot of these articles, and there's just so much misinformation blowing things way out of proportion. I see a lot of like mental gymnastics trying to paint this technology as something that's bad. Like, you know, if you want to consider, like, I'd have to get you the sources, and I don't want to quote the wrong numbers, but all of cryptocurrency accounts for less than 1% of global consumption, right? So it's like a tiny fraction of a tiny fraction, right? But the other thing I want to call to people's attention is like this is a new and emerging technology. So like Ethereum, you know, is another proof of work chain like Bitcoin that has mining, but they're making moves to become what's called proof of stake, which significantly reduces the energy consumption. And there's already other thousands of cryptocurrencies that are all tackling, maybe hundreds, tackling this energy proof of work mining issue. So as this technology evolves, of course, people are going to make it more and more efficient, but it would be like the early days of the car, you know, and starting to scream about, you know, this is going to ruin the planet, or, you know, these cars are going to destroy our world. It was too early then for people to understand any of that. You know what I'm saying? And now, thankfully, we have a more conscientious, you know, there's a higher consciousness like of people that really are looking at that. So it's good that they're asking this question, but I don't subscribe. There hasn't been peer reviewed work yet on this, number one, like on academic research level. But secondary, it's a lot of it is misinformation. It's not accurate. It's blown way out of proportion. And so that would be, you know, look into who's saying what and where it's coming from. A lot of these people who are writing about this stuff, they're just now getting into this. They're taking advantage of the traffic and the hype around this and creating this contrary to, you know, this counter, how do I say that? Contrarian view, you know, so people pay attention, right? And it's disingenuous to not really dig deeper into the subject from some of the articles I've read. So that's, I mean, that would be my answer.
Yeah, thanks for answering. I think most of it I've seen it from the mainstream media, like why you like the Washington Post and stuff, you know. So I do see they would make something, they would try to sell a story like that, you know, just to, you know.
They want numbers. Yeah, right. They want eyeballs.
Yeah.
So I know one thing for me that's gotten me stoked about the NFT space is how the overlap between the real estate industry and NFTs. I think that's one piece that people don't realize at all, and you touched on it. And I just say that because I know John's getting ready to ask a question. Might not be real estate related, but anyways, Mr. Okocha, go ahead. It's up to you. Your microphone's yours.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wanted to ask, so in the NFT space, you know, how easy is it to integrate that with, let's say fundraising?
That's a good question. And that is something that I see is getting disrupted, right? You had the ICO boom a few years ago, but now, you know, in the art space, right? Let's just go there for a minute. In filmmaking, right? So to fund a film, you had to go through a certain process. Now, the artists who are and the filmmakers who are creating a film could say create NFTs of the concept art and sell those to fund a film. So I think that the access and the freedom to raise funds from various sources from a broader perspective is going to be something that regulators look at. Like, how do we control this? But also at the same time, I don't know that they can, because it's just the floodgates have opened. And so you're going to see there's going to be various levels of it. Raising funds for real estate. You know, I know that Adam knows about this, but I'm sure that that's happening right now with the security tokens that are actually NFTs on the blockchain. So I definitely see raising of funds through the cryptocurrency blockchain space as an exciting place to be, and an exciting, application for this technology.
Interesting. What are your thoughts on how do you think BitClout is going to play a huge role in NFTs as well? The whole influencer economy, the influencer space. Where do you see that taking NFTs?
So I'm not too sure about BitClout. I read the white paper.
Mhm.
I have some questions and some things that I'm like, I'm not too sure about. I've heard some SEC affiliated lawyers talk about it, that some of it could come down as securities. There's a lot of question marks around, specifically BitClout. But like when we talk about social tokens, I think that they're here to stay,
Yeah.
right? And I'm not saying I'm not for BitClout. I'm not against it. I'm saying I don't know enough. I haven't dug deep enough into it to make my mind up. But I just have some questions. I have some things I'm going to pay attention to before I go one way or the other on that one.
Interesting.
So this this one blew my mind the other day. And that was helpful. I heard of BitClout recently too, and so I haven't done any research either. But I guess people are talking about it. That's interesting.
It's got a lot of attention right now.
Yeah. But so there is, speaking of virtual, real estate, if you go on the Wax, so did we talk about Wax at all today, Albert? I don't think we really did. Before I even asked this question, could you kind of just run through like what the Wax blockchain is? Because there's different marketplaces people can go and buy NFTs and mint NFTs, for example, right now. And the main reason why like Albert and I got connected was because someone pointed me the direction of Wax, which is like the affordable, smart way to be doing it compared to some of these other options out there. So kind of just like explain what the Wax blockchain is real quick.
So the Wax blockchain is it's obviously a different blockchain other than Ethereum is the main blockchain being used for NFTs right now. Wax is another one, and it's built on the EOS blockchain, which is a competitor to Ethereum. And they have a different way of reaching what's called consensus. It's called delegated proof of stake, which just means there's not mining. There's no EOS mining or Wax mining like Bitcoin mining. What they do is you would stake tokens and vote for delegates, and they would actually be the ones that validate the transactions on the network. What that allows is for super cheap transactions, super fast transactions. So on Wax, on Atomic Hub specifically is the marketplace he's referencing. You can mint NFTs, create NFTs, buy NFTs, and you're not paying any gas fees. Whereas, you could sell and buy NFTs that are dollars, $10, $5. On Ethereum currently, because of the usage of Ethereum, the amount of congestion on the network, it's not really financially feasible to sell a $5 NFT because it's going to cost you $20 or $30 in gas fees, right? So it's pricing a lot of people out. And so Atomic Hub is number one, there's a lot of big IP there. So Atari is there, BTC Origins is there, Street Fighter did a drop there. The Major League Baseball is going there on the 20th of this month. There's a lot of Godzilla just dropped there. Yeah, so it's
Deadmau5.
Deadmau5, yeah,
DJ.
of course. So there's a lot of big players on that side, and it's geared more towards the collectible trading card gaming type of feel versus like fine arts feel. However, the technology over there can be reworked user interface to be a fine art platform if you wanted to. But yeah, that's kind of what he was talking about as far as what Wax is, what Atomic Hub is.
Yeah, and then so there's, and by the way, we've got about 5 minutes left here for Q&A, and we're going to shut it down. But then again, as you guys know, for anyone who's here live, feel free to stick around. We're going to do a breakout session to reward the live attendees. But yeah, so there's this project on the Wax blockchain called Uplift World, and this has just completely captivated me. It's basically creating this virtual world through Minecraft that has a huge community. We're talking like thousands of people, like tens of thousands of people plugged into these communities, waiting every day for the next update about Uplift World. And it sounds like it, like from what I've seen, and Albert, you could probably help me out here, but like the inspiration behind it is somewhat tied to charity. It seems like a giving, it's a good source. And they're creating this community where, like, I'm not kidding you, on the Wax blockchain, on the Atomic Hub marketplace, you can buy virtual real estate there. You can buy like a random plot of land, and it varies anywhere from like $150, like I don't know what it is in wax, but $150 all the way up to, I'm not kidding you, $300,000 for like what's called a rail key. It's like, what? People are paying this? And the reason why is because the rail keys, like if people are traveling on something that you own, then you earn wax by them using what you own. It's like insane. And like people are fighting for these things. Have you like heard anything about Uplift World? I guess is what I want to ask.
So I've heard quite a lot about Uplift World. I haven't had time to dig into it, and I know I should have. It's one of those things that I probably should have. I've been playing with Decentraland, which is another video game metaverse, you know, and right now, when they first started selling virtual real estate, you know, it was super cheap. And now you can't find even a tiny piece of land for less than like $6,000 or $7,000. And so there's a bunch of different virtual worlds where the people are spending real money, and there's going to be real eyeballs in these worlds, right? I went to a virtual conference in Decentraland where we went into this virtual world, and you went into this auditorium and you participated in this conference with other people. You know, it's a really interesting and intriguing, fascinating, really rapidly evolving space. I'm still like trying to wrap my head around it all and learn as much as I can, because I do see like things moving to a Ready Player One type of situation through these virtual worlds where, you know, people are putting up buildings and like even dealerships, right? There's a car dealership across the hall where they were selling NFT vehicles that you could put into the worlds, but there's nothing to stop Tesla to say putting a dealership in this world, and then you go and view the car in virtual reality, and you can buy it in game in virtual reality, and then it shows up at your house. You know, so that's kind of the future is exciting, and all that stuff is really heavy. Like the land and all that stuff is all done through NFTs. So yeah, I not specifically on Uplift World, but it's similar, right? It's all going to be interconnected, and all those interconnections will be called what we call the metaverse.
Insane.
Yeah.
We got time for one more question, so I'll leave it up again to our audience, to Nadir, John. I always like to say and joke, we're not afraid of silence here. We will be going to the breakout rooms in a moment, but you know, anyone feel free to ask a question. And that again, that same goes for our co-hosts.
You did mention, so you mentioned Wax before, and how many users are on Wax now, and how fast is it growing, the user base?
I don't have the exact numbers. You can go to atomichub.io. They have like a graph at the bottom. So I'm just looking at it really quick.
I can see that being huge, especially with right now and everybody being at home. You know, I could see that community growing at a very rapid rate. I mean, we're already seeing stadiums being converted into, you know, e-stadium and you know, game stadiums. I mean, I think the gaming world is something that's going to get even more and more popular, especially now. You know, we've just been COVID. What it's done is it's amplified things. You know, we've gone, you know, 10 years into the future in 1 year, just with everyone staying home.
Concerts as well. Just to give you a little insight, they did almost $2 million yesterday on the Atomic Hub platform, but there's various other platforms on Wax. That's just one of them. So I don't know how many users that was. That was 51,000 sales happened yesterday. So it's growing really fast. And like, you're talking about the Major League Baseball going there, right? So like, think about all these big properties that are going to bring a massive flood of users into this space. Because the other thing about Wax and that platform is they're coming into it. You don't need cryptocurrency to get these NFTs. They're using credit cards. When I got into the Godzilla, you know, trading cards, you paid with a credit card, and then it goes to the Atomic Hub. So they're going to do the same thing with the Major League Baseball cards, that they're verifiable, unique. Like people are crazy about trading cards. Every major sports industry is going to go down this hole.
That's crazy that it did. You said 2 million in sales yesterday on Atomic Hub. Because I remember when we first connected, it was less than half of that. And again, that was like no more than 2 months ago. And it was like 27,000 transactions in a day. You just said it was 51,000 yesterday.
Yeah, it was 51,700
It's growing
sales.
fast. That's almost double what it was less than 2 months ago. So, man, exciting stuff. It's gonna start winding it down here now. Albert, was there any other final points you wanted to drive home here?
I would say this is people tend to reject. I'm sorry if you can hear my parrot. I do have a lot of animals. People tend to reject what they don't understand. So if you're looking at this and you see a lot of hype, there's a lot of people saying, oh, this is a bubble, blah, 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 blah. Like, take the time, do yourself a favor and understand this technology, understand what it's going to mean for your industry, understand where the opportunities are. Because this is, it's no exaggeration. Like, this is going to change things in similar ways that the internet changed the world. And so those that kind of brush this off and don't pay attention are going to be like feeling the same way that people when they first heard of Bitcoin and they haven't done anything about it. And look at what's happened with Bitcoin. This in many ways is going to make even a bigger impact because its ability to permeate into other industries without people even knowing that they're using NFT technology, right? It's going to be on the back end. And so I would just advise people, like, there's massive opportunities here. There's a massive transfer of wealth that's going to happen through this and blockchain. So do yourself the favor and look into it, learn as much as you can, because 5 years from now, I think there's going to be a lot of people who blew this off and they're going to be really upset that they did. And a lot of industries that think they're safe and they don't see the disruption that's like a freight train heading right for them, because of this technology. So even traditional business owners should look at, is this technology going to threaten the way that I'm doing business right now? Should I be adopting this? Should I be learning about this? So that's the last thing I would see. It's bigger than art. It's bigger than video games. It's bigger than 3D, these cool 3D renderings that you see. There's a lot underneath the water to say.
Yeah, and before we went live, I mean, you made a great point too there. Someone who's always seemed to stay ahead of the trends and doing a great job with it, especially in real estate, is Grant Cardone. And you said you were in a clubhouse room with him focused on NFTs the other day. So there you go, guys. I mean, Grant Cardone's what, like 63 or something like that?
I think he said he's 58. Yeah, he was in the room. They were talking about it.
Uncle G, if you ever see this, I'm sorry, got that wrong. I know that you look good for your age.
He's ripped, man.
Yes. So, all right, getting ready for the breakout session. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again so much for investing your most valuable resource with us here today, your time. This has been NFT Secrets featuring Albert Polanco. I almost forgot, Albert, we got to give everyone a way to follow up and get in touch with you. I'm sorry for not even asking this earlier.
Yeah,
I think we got the clubhouse tag, but go ahead and give us your contact information.
Yes, so I have a website that I started called Nifty Farm, nftyfarm.com, and that's like an NFT resource for the community, collecting tutorials, people to follow, explaining the vocabulary, all of that stuff. There's a lot of resources there. I also have a Facebook group that you can join. It's facebook.com/groups NFT guide, and then also I'll put my my link tree here, but it's basically Linktree, linktr.ee/cryptovert. And you're going to see a list of links to get in contact with me, to find my YouTube channel, like to do any of that. I do consult people on this technology. So that would be the easiest ways to get a hold of me.
And I almost forgot, you're learning how to code on a certain what blockchain is it that you're practicing right now?
So I'm starting to learn Solidity smart contracts, because that's the most broad smart contract platform. But I want to know how to code and create some of the ideas that I have. I also want to be able to identify what other smart contracts are actually doing and saying. And I might also branch out into some other blockchain platforms from there. I think It's the future. I really think if there was a chance to learn something or switch what you're doing, learning Solidity or smart contracts, that's going to be a safe bet for the foreseeable future. Like that's a big language that's going to move on, and there's way more demand for it than there is supply right now.
Valuable, valuable insight. And I know Nadir's over there nodding his head. He studied computer science when he was in school. So there you go. You guys like photography and computer science. Maybe we'll find some other similarities here in a second. But again, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us here today. If you're with us on the replay, be sure to, again, like, share, and subscribe if you found value in today's message. It really helps us bring on more high quality guests, just like Albert. And as he mentioned, you can visit pretty much everything that he just mentioned in the link tree, which is in the comments, but you could also go to NFTY, niftyfarm.com, nftyfarm.com. Nadir and John, any closing remarks from you guys? We'll go in that order as well.
Oh, wonderful presentation, Albert. Thank you very much. And I learned a lot. I still have like a few questions, but probably afterwards I might just ask. But thank you very much. It was a really cool presentation.
Yeah, I really appreciate the presentation, Albert, and I look forward to staying in touch, and let's see what we can do together.
Sounds awesome, guys. Thank you, guys. And thank you, Adam, for putting this whole thing together. It's really cool.
Thank you for saying yes and being here. I'm pumped to get this one out and circulate it through the ecosystem. And thank you again to Aaron, who's been over there dropping the links as we go. Thank you to Rena, who also helps us so much putting these things together. And of course, thank you. We got to get this in here. Thank you to our sponsors, Liberty Real Estate Fund, the world's first single tenant net lease security token. For more information on Liberty Fund, you can go to libertyfund.io. And also thank you to our other sponsor, Raise Masters, the #1 mastermind for elite capital raisers. You can learn more and apply via the link in the comments, or if you're with us on the replay, you can find that link in the show notes. And of course, one more time, thank you to our audience on Facebook, here on Zoom. You guys rock. My name is Adam Carswell. Major shout out again to Nadir Price and John Okocha, our co-hosts, and Albert Polanco was your rock star of the day. Go connect with him. And remember, in all you think, say, and do, take it to the next level.
So